say hi, good morning, Cheryl.
Hello, morning.
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you.
thank you for joining us or joining me today. Right, maybe we can start off by you sharing a little bit more about yourself, what you do, your business, and I know you just launched a coaching platform, right? So do tell us a bit more about that as well.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, Alex. So we've known each other a while now, and when we met, I was a regular family physician, and of course, I was interested and practicing functional medicine already at that point. Um, then, sometime last year, I really wanted to begin reaching out to um, not only the right clients, but I think the question is more about why was some clients thriving and why was some clients not thriving. Um, and I looked into that and I started thinking into that, and I realized that number one, people barely even know what functional medicine is. So the education process, even before they come into functional medicine, was important. And then number two is their expectation and also how proactive the client was in the program. So I started seeing some clients were keeping their appointments, and they were seeing me once a month to start off with, and then later on when we were stable, we would spread it out. Some of them would try to save on consultations, and of course we would find that we would have to start from the beginning. So it's actually a bigger waste of time and money.
Mm.
So I started seeing that pattern, and I really wanted to achieve 100% success rate in a way. I was like, okay, no, functional medicine is so powerful. Why is it still failing some people? And it was actually the factor about the person or the client themselves sort of not really sticking to the program. And, then how was I going to help them? It wasn't going to be about just sitting in a clinic and waiting for a person to rock up whenever they felt ready to, or whenever they felt they were falling off the cliff. It's actually more proactive than that. So then I began racking my brains, and then started thinking about how I could kind of help people. And then that whole process involved me coming out of the clinic setting and helping people as a coach. And I happen to be a functional medicine doctor as well. As we know now, and more studies are showing you that the determinants of health don't lie in medicines. The determinants of health lie in community. Alex, you're going to love this. And in your nutrition and in your mindset and your lifestyle and all these other factors, and how you manage your sleep and your stress, all these other factors. So I realized that by coaching for life and health and using functional medicine as a tool that I have, one of the tools that I have, this created in that success rate that I was trying to look for in a client. And that's why I can confidently promise, and I do pick my clients as well, so that I know that they're ready for this, and then we really achieve results like that. So when the determinants of health or whatever is in our way, we address that, then a little bit of herb, a little bit of supplement is going to go a really long way, and we're going to be able to come off it. Because my perspective is, I don't want anyone on even long-term medicines, but not even long-term supplements.
Mm.
What does it mean to be really healthy is to be using supplements literally as a supplement whenever you feel like the diet's not been great, but as a default, not having to be on anything. That's my sort of end point. And so the question was about moving and how it moved into coaching. So the answer is more about how. The answer is that really is. I felt I had to do the scary thing. For most doctors, it is quite a scary thing to come out of the typical doctoring role. But I spent some thought, and I realized that this was the way that I was going to effect change more powerfully, and to respect my own time and energy, because I'm a mom of a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old.
Two kids,
And
nice.
Yeah, and want to also show. I mean, you see, like with doctors, and especially if you're a functional doctor and in the wellness field, you got to be healthy, right? Because part of your work is actually role modeling to others how to be healthy, and going against the tired mom norm. Yes, there are some days that I'm tired, but it's not a norm. So it's reversible, it's fixable. So I want to be able to show others that this is not a way to exist. um, you know so that's my passion area. I have a passion in seeing young moms, and yeah, to be honest with you though, like I do see women in crossroads. Yeah, so women have many health and life crossroads. So I tend to see them around those times to make transitions, to take care of the health, with hormones, thyroid, stress, prenatal, postnatal.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And how is coaching actually different from telemedicine? I've actually never tried telemedicine, but I've heard about it. I read about it. Is it like an extension, or would you eventually want to do something similar to like telemedicine?
Yeah. So it's funny, right? I mean, I'll only reveal it to you now, but before telemedicine, during COVID, they were just like, oh my God, everybody go and do telemedicine. Before that, I was seeing my patients online, lah,
Mm,
on Zoom or Skype, and
mm,
things like that. There were some follow-up consults that simply did not require anybody to be face to face.
mm,
We were very happily practicing that and getting payments for it and things like that. So that's one level. That's what you mean by telemedicine, right?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
You know, but coaching is a little different. I mean, with telemedicine, if you need your retail stuff done and you need some simple medicines or an MC, there are tons of apps that commoditize that already.
mm-hmm.
So that one is one thing. The second thing, telemedicine with each doctor. Yeah, I think now post COVID, everyone is already doing that. So it's now kind of almost the norm, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the question was more about how coaching differs from telemedicine. Well, in the coaching, for me anyway, I coach according to your entire being, right? So it's not only limited to health. It's sort of like, okay, we want to get from A to B in terms of our health. Anything else that's in the way, we will address it. And of course, I have the functional medicine background and the medical background to do that, right? So that's the combination. Within the coaching period of, say, we will decide something, 3 months or 6 months. Within that time, we will have had, we'll decide how many consults we need in between, plus that support. So it's kind of quite different. It's not, the relationship is defined as sort of that big, from getting, sort of from A to B, and then in a sort of package, say.
Understand, understand.
Yeah, I don't really like the word package, but it's that whole, like, okay, to get from
Journey,
A to B,
experience.
we need to do these things,
Mm,
and you'll have me, and we'll do it through having these calls a couple times a month, and with me on WhatsApp with you during that whole period as well.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, if that's what a person needs, you know.
Understand.
Or yeah, it could be a more toned down version, and also the coaching relationship is sort of like um, viewed as that whole time period. Yeah.
Understand. Does that also mean that as a coach,
Um,
you are available anytime that the patient or client needs?
yeah. Well, everyone works differently.
Mm,
Me, I've found that uh, there is an element of repeating myself. So anything that I keep repeating, I record it into a course.
ah,
And now, yeah, so now there are courses so that people can kind of get a leg up. So I don't have to repeat the basics in a way. So get the leg up. And then if you need a consult, I'll jump in there and do a consult. But if the client needs a longer solution or really needs more hand holding, then we'll talk about whether it's a good fit and whether I'm the right person for them, and then we would get onto that coaching relationship. So
Nice. Okay.
uh,
That's
sort of,
something that I learned now. Doing a
yeah, it's
course,
a
right?
little
So instead
different.
of doing
Yeah.
one, you do one course and you apply it to many. And it could even be a recorded session, right? So it's a lot easier.
Yeah, so the recordings, yeah, thank goodness I decided to record it, and it's been highly successful. I mean, I was really blown away with it, but because I was thinking about this around last year, and then of course the timelines with COVID happened, suddenly everyone was online. And it was sort of quite perfect in a way because it meant that you could do something for your health. And that course was timed at 14 days. Within those 14 days, to get a leg up.
Mm.
So I really was blown away with the number of participants for someone doing this for the first time. Um, 60 participants.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that
Wow,
meant
that's a
that
good number.
I
Mm.
calls 2 months after. I was still getting in touch with the participants, and helping them to kind of tie up the loose ends from the course. So there's that portion. So that they'll kind of like come through that, and then be in that community. So now there's the point about the community is that they're
Mm.
in Facebook group, and they are at a level of understanding of how I teach, and I know them in a way. So that's like how we are. I mean, absolutely love the people who are on there. We've interacted enough, so we know how each other works. So that in that way, if they do decide to work with me longer term, there's not a huge jump in understanding. They already are used to my manner or my philosophy and things like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
And would they all be clients, or so you mentioned community? Is this community? Do they also are there also other medical healthcare professionals within this community?
This particular 60 people one that I talk about is filled with moms and women who want to fix their health
Mm-hmm.
through nutrients. Because as a functional medicine doctor, I do hormones, I do gut dysbiosis, I look at the microbiome, I look at the thyroid, all these weird and wonderful things. But really, the first step is to get the basic nutrients right. And not many people know how to do that.
Mm.
Not many people know how to do that well. And if you ask me to refer to doctors, um, one or two or three, that I could possibly refer to who know how to do it well. They know how
Mm.
to test, they know how to read the results properly, and they know how to supplement in a safe and effective way. So I decided to do that course and just tell the clients what to do, what tests to ask for from their doctor, whoever their doctor was,
Mm-hmm.
be able to read it and be able to supplement, because the truth is you can buy supplements anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So let me teach you the right way to do it. So that crowd is made specifically of people who want to solve a problem. They're generally moms who have experienced tiredness and they want to gain more energy, focus. They want to get rid of anxiety and be more calm. So
Mm-hmm.
they've joined that course, and that's sort of the first step. And if they need more beyond that, then we might get on a call to talk about how you might continue from there. Yeah.
Nice, nice.
So that's my sort of so-called model of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Do you
And
think
yeah,
that you mentioned that you came out to be a coach, right? So were you part of another clinic or establishment before coming out? And I mean, I know you as Dr. Cheryl Kam, the functional medicine doctor, right? But do you think that you've managed to create this image and branding for yourself along the way, even before coming out as a coach? And how did you manage to do that?
to do that.
Mm.
A great question, Alex. So, I mean, I obviously had a soul-searching journey beforehand. I worked with, and I still do work with, and send patients to this amazing clinic called Mint Medical in Singapore. And because we've worked together a while, they know I've set up for them the dispensary and then the blood testing, like kind of what main tests we want to do. So, the work there has been amazing. Been there for almost 4 years now. So during that time as a doctor, you're also kind of finding your strengths, finding what you like doing, what you don't like doing, and just learning a lot of things about people and, refining your skill. And that's essential for younger doctors as well, to kind of have that, conventional experience. Because if you're a doctor, you kind of have to be good at everything, especially for family medicine. You got to kind of really be good at everything, have no fear about doing everything, and then go for what you're really good at. Yeah. So I think that's my tip there. But yeah, so in building up and being in the environment in a normal conventional clinic, to be then found as the functional medicine doctor, like how we found each other, that sort of thing, then I realized definitely it included education. So like what you're doing, you're educating the public, and I found that each person's platform is different. Newsletter, I had like nothing at that time, and just like it was just my current patients, I think the small little pool of them. And I was good at social media, like naturally, just like that. I mean, everyone's forte will be different, but I love writing, and writing is how I get things off my chest. And so I wrote blogs, and I was on social media at the expense of the newsletter list, which is a bad thing. Always take care of your newsletter, number one. But what I did, mistake, was focus on the vanity side of things, the vanity metrics of how many followers you have and stuff like that on Instagram. So I did that for 2 years and kind of neglected the list. List meaning the email list and the people who subscribe to the newsletter and all that. So did that for 2 years, came back, and I'm like, oh no, this is bad. So started working on the list again, and now I communicate mainly to the people who have followed me or bought from me or downloaded a freebie, and they know my style, and usually the people that approach me come from within the list. So there doesn't it need not have a fanfare. I mean, Instagram for me is just for fun now, and it's a lot less tiring. So I'm all about being really efficient with the time, because busy mom, right? So you want to unlock time. You don't want to spend more time doing things. Yeah. So education was one big part of it. I did it through Instagram, and I did it through writing articles for others, and getting featured, and and things like that, and writing about topics that I was good at. So so people would find me. Then after that, it was word of mouth, which is really the number one referral for as a doctor. When you've got word of mouth, then it's much more powerful than anything else. But Instagram, right, it's actually like a digital word of mouth.
Yes, it's true.
It really like blew me away when I did that, because patients would come in, and they would say they followed me, and I kind of like click. They already at some level click with you. Yeah, so there's not a need to sell anything anymore. They already have decided that it was a good match and a good fit, and then that relationship is much smoother as well. So I think that's the key that's what I know about community. I guess I never actually called it that, but before, until I met you. But yeah, I mean, I guess for me, that's what it means.
Yeah, because one of the questions I was going to ask is, you mentioned just now, as a functional medicine doctor, community is one of the strongest elements that help people get into better health, right? And the question I was going to ask you, do they teach you this in school? How did you discover or understand that community actually is something that is going to help drive each individual's health to success, or where they need to be? Yeah, and yeah, I guess you answered that question already, right? From whatever you've shared. And do you is
We
this
didn't learn this lah. I mean, we didn't really learn about that, but then we learned it in a very different perspective. Like, you would know statistics, say suicide prevention statistics, and then you would look at it from, okay, single person living alone at home, more prone. And then
Mm.
from my point of view now, knowing what I know, it's like, well, it's the community, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then there are all kinds of things in the personal development world that's coming out saying that if you wanted to stick with a health habit or a fitness habit, then you've got to have friends doing it as well. Yeah. So on one side, you have the pathology and the clinical side, and you can gather data on that. And the other one is more about a human understanding side. And if you use your best intuition, you'd probably figure that out yourself without the need for studies. But we're a science-based culture, so having the studies to kind of justify it is always an extra nice
For
bonus and a
sure.
good article. Yeah.
Not exactly an aha moment, I guess. It was more of like a understanding how everything is working, right? Yeah. And but with this community that you have, right? You mentioned the list, which is your newsletter list. You also mentioned Instagram followers. These could be your clients. They might not be your clients. Could potentially be your clients as well, right? Would you consider this your community, or would you consider healthcare your community, or any maybe a little bit smaller, like people that are interested in non-invasive, non-pharmacological, more functional medicine kind of treatment or therapy?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you're on it. So,
Mm,
anyone who follows me tends to be the
mm,
ones that are beginning to look outside the medical system for an answer.
mm-hmm,
Um, but they are comforted by the fact that I've still got a practicing license. You see, they're comforted by the fact that I have got a background in conventional medicine. So, then they follow and things like that. Because of course, I mean, there are other ways to achieve health with, naturopaths or health coaches and all, but um,
or
perhaps
even
they have.
Ayurvedic, right? Ayurvedic is functional medicine, right?
It's an ancient form of medicine, same in a similar way comparable to TCM. So it's a different system
Right.
of medicine. So
Mm,
I don't know enough about Ayurveda, even TCM. I mean, I've gone on courses, but even after going on courses, I cannot say that I know enough about it. But I can understand, and I can at least have a conversation with the TCM or the Ayurvedic doctor about
mm,
things. But they will find it very frustrating to talk to a Western trained, because the system of thought is so different and so beautiful actually for both of them.
mm-hmm.
So anyway, so what was the question again?
The larger community,
Oh yeah,
maybe.
I mean, what I actually consider the community, I think it's if if I'm putting out information, for me it's if I'm putting out information about what I do and who I can help, then it's going to be very magnetic for the people that I can help. And those are the ones that come into the community, I suppose. In the
Mm-hmm.
same way that we're putting out information in a very specific area that you are interested in and you feel like you could give value in, then you attract people who need exactly that help. So it's about communicating that. But you are right. I do, if you were to generalize it, the people who are with me or subscribing to the list and so on, they are quite empowered already and want to get more empowered. And the number of people who I've treated and come through the program and got well and then have become health coaches themselves is a testament to the success really of this whole journey, and it really opens up their eyes. It's a huge educational journey. They learn so much about the industry, about supplements, nutrition, their health. And if they like my philosophy, then they come out like quite well equipped to help others as well. you know so if I can do that, and of course you have to have your basic qualifications all settled and things like that, but those are the people that for me, they make me really happy, because it kind of puts, yeah, I mean, it is a journey, kind of seeking and understanding and seeking healing for your own health. It is a journey, but this journey is also not an easy one. It's not about the magic bullet. Now, having been through that journey and learning so much, you really, at the end, can help a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful, yeah. So I've got a short, uh, well, the initial 14-day course is now being condensed to just a 4-day one, which is available on my website. But I've got also a program within, like, you come into coaching with me, and then you get twice weekly workshops live, and then also one-on-one. So that one is like kind of more deep, after we've settled the nutrients, then we're going to talk about hormones, we're going to talk about gut health, the liver, how it all interplays.
So it's
Yeah.
an entire education process that the client or patient must be very interested in wanting for themselves, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't want to go through all of that. And with that is something like you teach them how to be responsible for their own health, right? I guess that's
Mhm.
what a coach is supposed to be for.
Yeah, and some people are very good with big groups. I've found out as well. I mean, people do really want me to be there for the one-on-ones. So the one-on-ones are where the magic happens. The workshop is more about learning why I do certain things. So when we implement some things and they say yes, 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 when they refer back to the workshops, I guess they will have a better understanding about what it is I was trying to do without wasting coaching time.
Mm-hmm.
So just yeah,
Mm.
you know. So there you go. It kind of augments the process.
Okay, and
I
nice.
mean, yeah. I mean, it really is a passion of mine to change the healthcare terrain. I mean, as we speak, it's already changing. I think people are beginning to realize that they should take control of their own health, especially after a pandemic happening and the medical field not having quick solutions and all. So people are realizing that yes, they do need the vitamins to stay constitutionally healthier so that they're not so prone to disease. So that mindset is already taking place in the general population. And when I was projecting, thinking, oh, functional medicine, when is it going to take off? Maybe give it another 10 years time, especially with doctors, because doctors are the most like
Mm.
fixed in mindset. 10 years time, but even with doctors now, I'm just thinking, I think our timeline could be a lot shorter than that, 3 to 5.
Well,
Fingers crossed.
you could be the one to accelerate that process, right? If you were to start some courses or start some training going on
Yeah.
specific to the professionals.
I mean, like, this is definitely a plan, but I do really enjoy what I do for the minute. So I guess I want to um, kind of deepen the
Mm-hmm.
experience and just sit with this for a while and just enjoy it. It's been
Mm-hmm.
so quick. We are in August, and I started this business in March. So that's 5 months. It was like a huge, so I want to enjoy it and see. But definitely out there, the big mission is to change the healthcare terrain for more people. And functional medicine is expensive. It is. So if you were to stop seeing your doctor and you came and saw a functional medicine doctor, a lot of the stuff is not covered by insurance at all. So
Mm.
people are kind of slightly stuck in that place. I mean, if you want to be proactive, you got to have the cash.
Understand.
Whereas to really, I mean, there are lots of good doctors around with great intention and kind and compassionate. Why not give them just a few tools to be able to do certain things in their own clinics? And you don't need to call it functional medicine. You can just call it whatever, medicine and a bit of testing your nutrients, because in medical school, they kind of teach this a bit. Hopefully medical schools are teaching more of it now. I know for a fact that my own medical school is paying attention a little bit more to the effects of nutrition and
Mm-hmm.
teaching it. So until that all really happens and doctors come out really qualified in the nutritional health prevention thing, I think now is more about galvanizing the doctors to have some tools and have the confidence to treat nutrient deficiencies. And I'm talking about iron and vitamin D and zinc.
Mm-hmm.
start with.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's the idea. I mean, for me, it took me a good. I mean, of course, the change of mind. I was a conventional doctor before, and I was like saying, multivitamins kill you, and this is rubbish. I used to, because I came from the UK. It was a very conventional NHS thing. Not interested in you unless you're dying. So it really took a time for me to change. And even working with a functional medicine senior doctor, it took me 2 years still to change my mind. So I don't think I'm gonna wait for people to change their minds. I just want to pick up the doctors and the health professionals that are already aware, and then we can fly.
So 5 years to change, and then another 10 years for insurance companies to take on, for you to be
Yeah.
able to claim.
But I have heard of insurance companies who allow claims for Chinese medicine and you
But it
know
took a while, right? I think it was at least 5 years, maybe even 10 before, TCM was included, or chiropractic, included as something that you could be
it
claiming.
depends on your plan as well.
Mm.
So
Hmm.
as we see things certainly changing, being pushed by the US side a little bit more.
Hmm.
So let's see. I mean, I'll make my predictions in say 3 to 5 years, but let's just see. Yeah,
Yes,
let's
yeah,
just.
let's see, right? So let's
Mm.
talk about this list that you have, right? So you talk about engaging, that would be Instagram is more of a fun thing where you post and you talk about things. It's more of the newsletter where you share your philosophy and people know who you are as a person, right? So that's where you are being as authentic as you can, being Dr. Cheryl Kam, the functional medicine doctor. Is there a target in terms of how large you want to grow this community, or you're just like, okay, lah, enjoying the moment and, whoever comes, comes. Yeah. Is there a target, a strategy, or a plan for that?
Um, Good question, Alex, because I think that's what you do, right? Yeah. Gosh, let me see. Actually, no. Okay, so I think it also pairs up with this stage of maybe I'm in this coasting mode because a lot has happened, I have to say, for everyone as well. I'm not sure when the video is going to get released, but from like the beginning of this year to the whole half of this year, or the whole entire year as well, has been a time of flux for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, by going online and coaching, this meant that it really was served to push me into the coaching and online sphere. But there was also a learning curve. So I've just written off the rest of the year to just relax, coast, and enjoy, and just take care of my clients, take care of my list, and so on. And um, targets wise, I don't have an answer for you. I mean, I know that my overall mission is to inspire proactivity and change the lives of as many people as I can. And I do understand women a lot because being a woman myself. So I'll start there.
Mm.
Eventually, I do want to help doctors also because the level of burnout in doctors is exactly where I've been before. And I don't think I'm unique in this. But however, now taking scary steps to move away from this, I feel better equipped to help others in that situation as well to navigate. So I'm talking about burnt out mom doctors in particular. That doesn't mean that the skill set can't be transferred, but then if you got a niche, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's where I wish to go with it. To just change the healthcare terrain because I see a problem in it, you know?
Yeah,
And
I
I also
mean,
see how valuable and how different things can be for my clients when they come on to functional medicine, or at least come on to empowering themselves, because they will be better present for their young families as well. I work with moms a lot, so then
mm-hmm.
with the young families, and then the effect of this snowballs into generations. The kind of work that we're doing is probably going to affect generations down as well if their body condition is better,
Mm-hmm.
and if they're role modeling self-care well, then the younger generation and the kids are going to see that too, and it makes for a healthier world, really.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't. The question was not so much to pressure you into coming up with with a number. It's all perfectly fine not to know, right? It's more of right. If you are coasting, which a lot of people are, and they do, and there's organic growth. We need to also understand at some point there might be an organic explosion growth, right? And then will you then be able to cope with it? Because
Mhm.
if you don't put measures in place to maybe grow the team or to portion out a bit more of your mum time to be working on this, then it could be quite overwhelming, right? Or maybe okay, by then if things are so good, then maybe you can double your rates or whatever lah, you know. But then there needs to be some form of measure put in place such that when that time actually happens, which could be 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, whatever, you will be ready for it lah. Otherwise, you will be scrambling all over again, and then it's unnecessary and undue stress on your part.
Uh, You're
Because
right. I
yeah,
mean,
mm,
please.
because at the end of the day, your mission or your is to help people take care of their health, right? And
Mm.
if there's an explosion, that means that you can take care of more people's health, right? But if you're not ready to take care of that more people, then you will not be able to fulfill that mission that you originally set yourself out to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely. You're right. So it's very important, I think, to have your mission clear. Then
Mm,
also, I agree with you, like sort of having the ability um, to take on. It has to be quite organic because, of course, if you have this grand, vacuous idea that you're going to have, a million subscribers, then you're going to overthink things as well. Like
yes.
I find that
Yeah.
I will overthink processes and all that. I'm a little bit more of a let's just try it out and then along the way decide. Yeah,
Mm,
so I've changed things along the way as well as to how many free calls I take. I don't take free calls anymore. I
mm,
did to get this whole thing started. But now no, and then really portioning the time and every single day asking yourself like, are you prioritizing things correctly? Are you sticking to your mission? Every single minute of the moment, taking these little decisions to make sure that you're on track and not getting distracted by very commonly in health coaching world, vanity metrics, you know, money. Yeah, right. So people first. So for me, the mission and the intention is super important, and it's a maturing process. I think with business,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
you'll always be taking the right decisions, and once you get so used to taking the right decisions at decision points, the rest of it is kind of it becomes automated.
Mm-hmm.
That you're always. For me, it's very important to. This is a people business.
For sure. Yeah.
Of story, yeah. So for me, while having targets is good, it's always good to have it as like a secondary to, okay, are you helping the people right in front of you first?
Mm,
Because yeah, those are your number one referrers. Those are your loyal customers, and that's who you said you're gonna help. So you got to do that first, people first, and then later on, the metrics. Yeah, and I find that doing it that way. Paradoxically means that you don't tend to worry about the money as much. Not saying that there's not to worry about. Yeah, you got to pay for things,
mm-hmm.
um, but in a weird way, not focusing on it so much, uh, you tend to get a better flow if your intention is right. For me,
Understand.
this is
Yeah. I agree with you. Yeah.
uh,
I share that same mindset and energy as the way you're
right.
thinking. Yeah.
It is too complicated otherwise for my little brain to think about any other way.
No,
I think.
just do what you enjoy and what you're best at doing. But and don't worry about all these other things. But have not
Have
say
some
don't
idea,
worry. Yes, have some idea.
right?
Don't
Yeah.
just totally block it out
Yeah,
from
yeah,
your
because
yeah.
that is the other issue. If you're not so clued in with that, I have seen on the other hand people really giving in again, medical industry typical, I can speak for them, but you give so much. And in the end, same thing. You don't get to fulfill a mission because you're actually not able to help the people that you set out to help because you're tired, burnt out, and broke.
Mm.
Yeah, then cannot. So then that's like mission fail as well. So it really requires both
That's
sides,
where you
right?
need to practice self-care, right? And be aware of what's going on in your own life. Maybe you mentioned the hardest thing for a medical doctor is to come out, right? To do something on their own. If you could share one, is that the biggest challenge that you've had in these 5 months, or if there were a biggest challenge that you've had, what would that be?
It really is just because generally when I speak to a group of doctors and I say what I do, they jaws drop, the faces blank, eyes glaze. So I think for them it's so unfathomable to lose the title,
Mm,
change the way they work. Oh, how do you examine a patient and things like that? Well, the people that I work with, I do ask that they have their own GPs because I'm going to coach you how to do things and provide it. So there's that. I think the change in role for anybody is never. It's always that uncertainty.
mm,
Yeah. Change in role, and then if they don't really see anyone doing it before, like if they see me and they really envision that this is the way they want to do it, then that's easy. But if they don't see anyone doing it, then they just cannot imagine what life could be like. They cannot imagine what the income could be like, and that can be quite unsettling as well, especially if so that's maybe the hard that's the normal thing for any job.
that's true.
Any
Yeah.
job.
Mm,
Yeah, actually that's the thing for any job, but the very particular thing for doctors is that the doctor title confers some kind of measure of prestige or respect. I don't know what it means for each person. I think this could be different.
mm.
So
Never thought
picking
about that,
that
but yeah.
apart,
Mm,
yeah, there is a little bit to pick apart there, and to really check in and think back into the reason why you did medicine, the mission, the purpose. What is it that's in your way? This is so individual. This is really individual. So, say for me, the thing that I had to kind of weigh and balance was, well, how important is my mission to me? And how important is my title? My mission was more important than my title, so it's like, okay, great, let's do
mm,
it.
mm. Okay.
So you have to sit in that and uh, discern that part, you see.
Well, you would be the exact role model, an example to show of future mainstream doctors to want to come out. Of course, if they are interested, in functional medicine.
Yeah, I mean, the ideal situation is to be able to do this within the system. The ideal situation is for the system itself to be so conducive for health. I studied healthcare systems and healthcare management and kind of tried to figure out whether I could do and change the terrain in that manner.
Mm,
Uh, but I may have had to sacrifice my family and some of my health to do so I decided that I wasn't going to do that. But there are people doing this in this realm. They go into healthcare systems and try to change it. It takes a long time. I mean, that's like
sure.
decades
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
So
Mm,
that's why now I only speak for like sort of this section of time that we're in now, 2020. So, the kind of things that I'm saying now, I imagine in 3-5 years time, it's like obsolete again, because you'll have a different system. Hopefully from inside out, something will have changed. But for me individually, this is what I had to do. This is for my family, for my life, for my clients. This is for me like the perfect solution.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about success stories? You mentioned, some of your patients have moved on to understand what you do so much that they themselves have gone on to be health coaches or wellness coaches. would that count as a success story? Or are there
Yeah.
others? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it doesn't have to be that they take it on as a career. I mean, my other so that's one example, and I'll describe that. Say with PCOS, one of the most common hormonal disorders in women. Going through the um, the functional medicine recovery process and learning what she learned, she was so inspired and so she felt so well that and for so many years she'd been unwell with irregular periods and pain. She decided that she wanted to use her newfound energy to help others. So then she went on to courses and so on. So that's great. It usually is quite an inspiring process, you see, for
Mm-hmm.
some to have
Mm-hmm.
gone through. So that's really nice to have inspired that change. But the other success stories are, regular women who are showing up better for their families, right? If every time your 3-year-old asks you to play and you're so too tired and on the bed and snappy, that's different from when your energy is 9 to 10 out of 10, and you initiating activities for the child and actually being present to enjoy those childhood years, and being that key player in the family that we're all built to be. So that's that. When you have your health and when you have your energy, then I see people also becoming quite enterprising themselves. So then they start doing side businesses, or so they translate their health gains into life gains. I mean, all throughout other arenas in life as well. So when they are gaining confidence in their health, which is the number one thing, then they begin to gain confidence in their interpersonal relationships,
Mm.
relationships with the
Mm.
husband, um, their ability and their confidence with their workplace, and they can command better treatment, better, they see their value, then some of them get paid more now, that's what I'm saying.
No, but it's good, right?
Able to, yeah,
It's very, very I love that what you're sharing about, with better health, all other areas of your life automatically gets better as well, right? And a couple of weeks back, I think maybe even 2 months back, I posted something on LinkedIn. It was a poll, right? And a friend of mine and I, so he's a psychotherapist. He lectures on psychotherapy, and I said, hey, let's do a talk, right? Conversation. Lost at 40, right? So we're both in our 40s. We both have young children, and what are the key topics that men might want to be talking about. So I said, okay, health, right? Confirm important, right? Then okay, retirement, and then career, and then parenting slash caregiving, because at this age our parents probably in their 70s, maybe 80s, so the caregiving portion would come in. And I posted it out, and good responses, but the lowest percentage was in health. So people are not concerned about their health. I'm like, why is that so, right? Because without health, none of the other three can actually happen.
yeah.
Yeah, so it was baffling to me. I couldn't understand it. But this talk or this conversation that we are supposed to be having, we've pushed back, right? But that's something that we will eventually be doing soon, and addressing these four topics. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just the general mindset that
Yeah.
we take health for granted, lah. And it's only when something happens to us, or when we get slightly older, and or when we see people within our midst or peers dropping dead, and getting more life-threatening critical illnesses, then we are a bit more concerned, right?
Mm,
Mm,
absolutely.
yeah.
I mean, it's it's really difficult, but the general mindset is as such, taking health for granted. And that's why I prefer to also onboard and get a community, so we all start thinking slightly differently and slightly proactively, and then when we come on to coaching, they can understand why
Mm,
they want to spend this time and money doing so they can see the value in it. Otherwise, you're never going to see the value in it. There are some people that I've seen and said no to because they don't see this simple fact that if you don't have your health, you won't have your income. I think that some people are so disempowered that they can't take that decision to even move up. And to us in the healthcare industry, it seems like a no-brainer, but there are some people with different levels of understanding as well. So, it's very also for me important to work with the right person, because I'm doing them no favors if they're not ready.
Yeah, yeah, perfectly
Not
understand
ready.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we are coming to the end of the session.
Okay.
Let me ask a final question, right? So, if
Okay.
let's say you've been coming out on your own for 5 months, but of course, before coming out, you were debilitating a lot. There was a lot going through your head. If someone were to come out to be doing their own thing, right, self-starter, solopreneur, what are some tips that you would want to offer so that he or she could prevent or mitigate these blind spots?
You
Mm,
gotta hire, and you gotta be around good mentors.
mm,
Absolutely. Okay, so having someone to ask you those hard questions and to look at the blind spots, you can't do that yourself, no matter how smart you are. So if you're in the caring industry, and I think a lot of people who are listening to this will be in like so the healthcare industry, you want to be helping a ton of people. But you also have to know how to help yourself, and you have to be kind of having enough role models that are above you, and also peers that are with you doing the same thing. Otherwise, it's very easy to run out of steam, get discouraged, and get a little bit lost in the process. So that's my number one um, advice.
nice. Thank you very much. Yeah. Cheryl, so I'm going to end the recording now. And thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks, Alex, for getting me on.
No,
It's
my
great.
pleasure. Yeah. All right.